What if ignoring your hearing loss could potentially be costing you a whole lot more than just missing conversations? Because a major 10-year study found something that I think every adult, especially anyone over the age of 50, needs to hear. And some of these numbers are pretty surprising. Hi, I'm Chuck Smith, a licensed hearing care practitioner and owner of Affordable Hearing with locations in Rochester, Logansport, and Lafayette, Indiana. And we talk a lot about how hearing loss affects communication. But hearing health may be connected to a much bigger picture. Researchers published a study in the JAMA Otolaryngology head and neck surgery looking at adults with untreated hearing loss compared with similar adults who did not have hearing loss. And they followed the data for up to 10 years. Here's what they found. People with untreated hearing loss had approximately a 46% higher total healthcare costs. And we're not talking about the cost of hearing aids. The average difference in overall medical spending was more than $22,000 over 10 years. But that wasn't the only difference. The group with untreated hearing loss also experienced about a 47% more inpatient hospital stays. They had a 44% greater risk of being readmitted to the hospital within 30 days. They were about 17% more likely to have an emergency room visit. And over that 10-year period, they spent an average of about 2 additional days in the hospital. Now, here's something extremely important. The study does not prove that hearing loss caused those hospital visits or caused those additional medical expenses. It found an association, and that is an important difference. But researchers have several reasons to continue studying that connection. Think about what can happen when somebody isn't hearing well in a medical setting. A doctor gives you instructions, but you miss them. A nurse explains how you're supposed to take a medication, but you don't hear one important detail. You are discharged from the hospital with instructions about what you're supposed to do when you get home, but you don't completely understand them. You may not even realize that you've missed something. Communication is a huge part of healthcare, and hearing is a huge part of communication. That's one reason I think we need to stop treating hearing like it's somehow separate from the rest of the body. Hearing care is healthcare, and that's also why we recommend having your hearing tested regularly, especially as you get older, or anytime you or your family start noticing a change. A hearing test isn't just about deciding whether somebody needs hearing aids. It gives us a baseline. It helps identify changes, and it can help make sure hearing difficulties aren't being overlooked. If you already know you have hearing loss, don't just ignore it because you feel like you can get by. Understanding what's happening with your hearing is the first step. Here's the question I want you to think about. When was the last time you actually had your hearing tested? Not an online screening, not somebody whispering behind you. An actual hearing evaluation. Tell me in the comments below. And follow Affordable Hearing because my goal here isn't to simply talk about hearing aids. It's to help you understand your hearing and how it may affect your overall quality of life. Because your hearing isn't separate from your health, it's a part of it.